Hello students, welcome back to my channel. In our last video, I covered the basic of capital budgeting, which covers the meaning, objectives and process. In this video, covers the techniques adopted for capital budgeting along with its importance and example. Before starting today's topic, still if you are not subscribed my channel means please subscribe it. In the capital budgeting techniques, we also call it as any methods. There are different methods adopted for capital budgeting. There are traditional method and modern method. The traditional method we also call it as a non-discount method. It includes the payback period and accounting rate of returns method. And second method is a modern method. The modern method we also call discounted cash flows method. It includes the net present value, profitability index and internal rate of returns. Let me look into techniques one after the other in detail. First, we'll look into the payback period method. The payback period method refers to the amount of time it takes to recover the cost of an investment. For understanding this more, let me go with one example. Suppose if we invested 1 lakh rupee in business and at the end of the first year we got the returns as 50,000 rupees and end of the second year we got the 50,000 rupees and the third year we got the 1 lakh rupee. The total returns we got means total returns or any cash inflows we got are 50,000 plus 50,000 plus 1 lakh, it's 2 lakhs rupees. See, actually we invested 1 lakh rupee in the business and we got the return inflow as 3 lakhs rupees. So whatever the investment we kept in the business, we got that return back within a period of second year. So first year we got 50,000 rupees and second year we got the 50,000 rupees. So if we add these two means we can get the 1 lakh rupee. So we invested 1 lakh rupee and we get back that 1 lakh rupee back in the period of 2 years of time. So here the payback period is 2 years. The same thing for this we have one formula. The payback period is equals to cost outlay. Means it's in a cost outflow or investment divided by cash inflows or return or profit. The cash outflows or investment, cash inflows or return or profit, like this. Okay. Again we can go with one more example. Here there is one company. They are ready to handle a projects. They have two projects in their pipeline. So they thought to invest 1 lakh rupee in each project. So here the manager wants to know that which project have a payback period less. So they want to identify the payback period less and they want to go with that project. So here for that knowing they have the expected future returns are like this for 4 years. Okay, based on this we want to calculate the payback period. So actual investment is 1 lakh rupee for both projects and cash inflows are like this. First we'll see with project 1. So investment is 1 lakh and for end of the first year they got the 50,000 and the second year they got the 50,000 and the end of the third year they got 1 lakh 10 and the fourth year they didn't get anything, it's another. So if we add all the inflows means it was 2 lakhs 10,000. If you see what's the payback period means here first year they got 50,000 and second year they got the 50,000. If we add these two means we'll get the actual investment of 1 lakh. So for this project there is payback period is 2 years. Now we'll see the payback period for project 2. So the inflows are 1 lakh for end of the first year, 5,000 for end of the second year and 5,000 for an end of the third year, and the fourth year there is no inflows. So here they invested 1 lakh rupee within the 1 year of any time they got the investment back. So here the payback period for any project 2 is any 1 year. So based on this information, that manager can choose the project of project 2. Why? Because within the short span of a time, means within the 1 year, they can get their investment back. So this shows that this project can get the more profit than compared to the project 1. Yes, for understanding better way, we can go with one more example. See students, here we have the XYZ company. This company was planning to purchase some mission. So that mission is any name X. For purchasing this mission, the cost is any 25,000, and this mission they have the lifespan of any 10 years, means without any repairs or somewhat. For this mission there is any life for any 10 years, and there is a no wastage or extra cost, means salvage value. And the inflows, if this company can purchase this mission with any 25,000, means every year that mission can generate the revenue of 10,000 rupees. Okay, based on this information we want to get the payback period, means initially they are investing 25,000 rupees, so within how much years, how much time they can get their investment back. But here the company put one condition. So this company wants to, if the payback period is less than 3 years, they can go with this project. If there is any more than 3 years, means they won't go with this project. Now we can calculate. If you see the formula, means it's any original investments divided by and cash inflows. So here we have any 25,000 rupees as any investment and 10,000 rupees as any cash inflows. So we got the payback period is any 2.5 years. Okay, so here whatever the condition they given, they told that if there is any less than 3 years, they can go with this project. So this project was less than 2 years, so happily the management can accept this proposal and they can start this project. Guys, like this we can calculate the payback period in the organizations. The next technique in capital budgeting is accounting rate of returns method. This accounting rate of return method is a percentage rate of return expected on investment. This method does not consider the time value of any money. And this method used for quick calculation of any investment profitable or not. And it used to mainly to general comparison between the multiple projects to determine the expected rate of return from each project. If we see the formula for accounting rate of return, means accounting rate of return is equals to average revenue or average income divided by average investment. For understanding this, we'll go with one example. See, there is a company, so they wants to initial investment as an 2,50,000, and from this investment they are expecting annual returns as an 70,000. For a basic example, this is a basic example. So if we are having the initial investment, it's a 2,50,000, and we have any revenue per year, it's a 70,000. So as per the formula, if we implement in this formula, means that here we have an annual revenue as any 70,000 divided by average investment is any 2,50,000, will get as any 0.28. If we make it into 100, means we'll get that 28% as any accounting rate of returns. This is the one basic example. Let me see one more example. So here XYZ company, they are looking to invest their money in the buying of any new machine. So they wants to replace with any old machine with any new machine. The cost of any machine is any 4,20,000 rupees. And here they are, if they purchase this machine, means every year they get the revenue or any income is in 2 lakhs rupees. and the expenses is an 50,000 rupees for an each year. Like this, there is an life for an emission is an 12 years. Okay, so here the salvage value means extra value is 0. So now we want to calculate the ARR. So we already know the formula, average net profit divided by average investment. So first we'll calculate the average net profit in the step 1. So if you want to calculate the profit means we must and should know the what's the revenue. It's annual revenue. So every year we are getting the 2 lakhs rupees. Like this we are getting 12 years means 2 lakhs into 12 we'll get the 24 lakhs. And the same thing here we are getting the profit or revenue. From the revenue we want to deduct the all expenses, then only we can get the actual profit. Yes, so here we having the annual expenditures is an 50,000 rupees. Like this we are making 12 years expenditures means the every time we will deduct the expenditure from any revenue. Yes, suppose you purchase if you are got as an income, if you got income means you will consider it as a total as a profit. No, you want to deduct all your expenses what you are spent for getting that income or revenue. Yes, the same here also we are doing, we are deducting the expenses. So 50,000 into 12 we'll get the 6 lakhs rupees. Okay, if you get means if you deduct is it's a total 18 lakhs rupees. The total profit is an 18 lakhs rupees. Now we want to know the average net profit. So formula for an average net profit is a total profit means it's an 18 lakhs divided by number of years means we are having the 12 years. Yes, so 18 lakhs divided by 12 will get as an 1,50,000 rupees means if we purchase this machine means every year will get the average profit of an 1,50,000 rupees. Yes, we know the average profit. Now we want to know the average investment. In the step 2 we'll calculate the average investment. And then a formula is an average initial investment means initial investment we are making is an 4,20,000 rupees. The cost of emission is an investment, so 4,20,000 rupees plus salvage value the 0. Here the salvage value is an 0. So if we add 4,20,000 plus 0 means it's an 4,20,000. So here we have it divided by 2. So 4,20,000 divided by 2 will get the 2,10,000. Okay, now we got average net profit and average investment. Now we'll put this value in the formula. So here we'll get the 1,50,000 divided by 2,10,000 means we'll get 0.71 as any accounting rate of returns. Okay, this is about the ARR. The next technique under the capital budgeting is a net present value method. See, most of us knows that money we have in hand now is more valuable than money you collect later on. That's because we are doing the businesses and buying something and selling the thing in the future, or simply putting our money in bank and earning the interest. In sometimes the future money is also less valuable because of inflation or deflation. It kills the buying power of an economy. This is called the time value of any money. By using the net present value, we can able to compare the present value of money with any future value. See, for an example, you have $1,000 in your hand. You thought that you want to invest that $1,000 in somewhere and you want to get the returns of $100 on 1,000 rupees after 1 year. So you kept in that $1,000 in the present as an investment, and the future you got as an $1,100. So here the $1,000 now is in the same value as an 1,100 in the next year. So here we have the $1,000 are become as in a $1,100, even though the value of any money was in a same in the present and the future. For understanding in better way, we can go with any. First, we'll see the definition. See, the net present value is a difference between the present value of cash inflows and the present value of any cash outflows over a period of any time. The net present value is used in capital budgeting and investment plannings to analyze the profitability on their investment. For calculating the net present value, there is one formula. So here minus C naught, it represents the initial investment or capital, and we can call it as a cash outflows. And C1, C2, C3 all represents the cash inflows, and R represents the discount factor, and T is the time factor of any money. So in the traditional payback period and accounting rate of returns, they forgot the time value of any money. And here we have any importance for time value of any money. So here how we can calculate the discounting rates means we have one more formula. It's in a 1 plus discount means how much percent of discount you are making, the discount amount and number of years, and minus 1 you can get the discount rate. See, for reminding this formula, it's a very toughest for us. For reminding the formula in easy way, we have one more formula. It's any present value of any cash inflows minus present value of any cash outflows. So based on this formula, we can solve one problem. And here, this is a table for calculating the discount value, means discount rate, means it's in a very tough. For by every time you want to use this formula and we want to get the discount rate, means it's in a very tough. For that purpose, we having the present value discount factors. See guys, here you can observe means here we have any period means it's in a first year, second year, third year, and like this up to the 50 years. And next we having the percentage discount rates, means 1% discount rate and 10% or 8% discount rate and 15% discount rate, and the 19 to up to 1 to 20% discount rates we having. So these are the values of discount. Okay, for every time you won't calculate the discount rate by using the formula, we already have the table. By using by taking the help of this table, we can calculate the discount rates. Okay, and next we will see the one example. See, some company they wants to purchase a new mass storage unit for their computer facility. So that cost, initial investment cost is only 2 lakhs, and the present value factor means it is a discount value, present value factor is only 12%. And the cash inflows are as follows, means here. So year 1 to year 5, the inflows are like 70,000, 10,000, sorry, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20, 1 lakh and 80,000. Like this we are having the cash inflows. And if we having, so here based on this information, we want to suggest or advise the company to accept this project, or they can reject this project. Okay, that's based on this information, we'll try to solve the problem. Okay, so here we have a solution. So first we want to calculate the net present value. For calculating the net present value, we want to have one table. So in the table there is any years, and then cash inflows and present value discount factors and present value amount, means if multiply the cash inflows with a present value, means we will get the present value amount. Okay, so first we'll see the how many years we are having. See, we having the 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what are the inflows, means we having the 70,000 and then 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20, 70,000, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20, 1 lakh and 80,000. Okay, so these are in the question itself. So we want to find the present value at the rate 12%. So we don't want to waste the time by using the formula. Just we'll go with any table format. So if you see the table format means here we having the periods means years 1 to 5 years, and here the question was asking the present value at 12%. So in the table format we have any 12% here. So for a first year, the discount factor, present value factor is in 0.893. So we can make 0.893. For second year, we are having 0.797. And for third year, we are having 0.712. And for the fourth year, 0.36. And for fifth year, 0.567. Here we got the cash inflows and the present value. So we want to know what's the present value amount. Okay, so here we can multiply the cash inflow 70,000 with a present discount value 0.89 means we'll get the 62,519. For the second year we'll get the 79,700. For the third year we'll get the 85,440. And for any fourth year 1 lakh into 0.636 will get the 63,600. And for the fifth year, 80,000 into 0.567 will get the 43,440. If we make the total of present value amount, means we'll get the 3,34,690 rupees. Now we have the values of total present value and the original investment. So if we imply these values in the formula means it's in a 3,34,690 minus investment is in a 2 lakhs means we'll get the net present value as in a 1,34,690. Okay, this is the overview of any net present value. The next technique under the capital budgeting is an internal rate of returns. This internal rate of returns comes under the modern technique. So the internal rate of return is a measure of an investment rate of return. Its metric is used in capital budgeting to estimate the profitability of potential investments. The internal rate of return is a discount rate that makes the net present value of all cash flows for any particular project. If net present value equals to 0, then internal rate of return will calculate. The internal rate of returns depend entirely on the capital investment and cash inflows. If we see the formula for internal rate of return means IRR means initial investment divided it by average cash inflows. We already know what's the initial investment. For knowing the average cash flows, here we have one more formula. Average cash inflows is equals to total cash flows divided by number of years. So let me see one example which we already did in the net present value. The same example. So we already calculated the net present value. So based on this, the same problem, we want to calculate the internal rate of returns. Yeah. So for calculating the internal rate of returns, we need the initial investment. So we already have the initial investment of 2 lakhs. Here it's 2 lakhs. In the question it was 2 lakhs. And next we need any cash inflows. So we have the cash inflows for 5 years like this. The total of cash inflows is 4,70,000. If we see the formula for internal rate of return is an investment divided by average cash inflows. So we have investment but we don't have any average cash inflows. For knowing the average cash inflows, there is a formula. Total of any cash inflow means here we have a total of any cash inflow means 4,70,000 divided by number of years means we have here we having the 5 years. So divided by 5. If you do like this means 4,70,000 divided by 5 means we'll get the 94,000. So average cash inflows is 94,000. Now we will implement these values in the IRR formula. So 2 lakhs divided by 94,000 will get the 2.12% of any internal rate of returns. Yeah. See here, the calculations, they mostly the internal rate of calculated by using the trial and error method. So if the calculation is carried on again and again by until we'll get the exact or expected internal rate of return. See, let me see one more example. The same thing here also, the same previous example only I'm going to explain. So here we already calculate the net present value. But what the thing was happened means the whatever the internal whatever the returns we got means based on the 12% interest, the 12% present value, we got the present value as in 3,34,690. Yeah. So the project manager he didn't satisfy this returns. So what he will do means he will go with a trial and error method. Means he wants to decrease the present value of discount factor. Means here there is a 12%. It's an assume your wish you can whatever the percentage your wish you can take. So I thought that I can decrease the 2% and I will calculate with any 10%. So here I was calculating the present value again 10%. So here we already have the present value discount factor table, means this is a factor table we already have. So here for first year we are having 0.98, 0.826 for second year, 0.751 for third year, 0.683 for fourth year, 0.621. So if you multiply this cash inflows with any present value with any 10% again means we'll get the values like this. If you total all these present value amounts means we'll get the 3,54,330. Just guys, you can compare here. So if we calculate with any present discount factor with any 12%, we got the 3,34,690. If we decrease the depreciation means present value amount discount factor and we calculated means we got the present value amount as in 3,54,330. When we can compare means if you go with any present value with any 10%, we'll get the somewhat best returns. Yeah. Okay, so this internal rate of return is any based on the trial and error method. The managers will again and again they will do this. Again they will do this calculation until they get the exact internal rate of return what they are expecting. Okay, this is all about the internal rate of returns. The next method under the capital budgeting is a profitability index. This method basically involves the assumption of profitability arises out of the investment proposals, which compares with any profitability of similar and another proposals. So it acts as a tool which tells us whether an investment should be acceptable or any rejectable. To measure the profitability index, the following formula is the PI is equals to present value of future cash flows divided by initial investment. So let me see one example which we already did in the NPV. So this is a problem which we already calculated the NPV, net present value. So for calculating we need a PV factor, it's as 12%, and next the present value means if we multiply with a present value factor with any cash inflows means we'll get the PV value means PV amount. Okay, so from cash inflows into any present value at the rate 12% means we'll get the present value amount. So here we'll see if we see the formula for PI means total of any PV divided by total investment or initial investment. So here we already have the cost of investment is any 2 lakhs. Yes, and next we having the initial investment. Initial investment is in 2 lakhs, and now we need any total of PV. So here if we add all the PV amounts, we get the total of PV. It's in 3,34,690. So if divide with this amount with any 2 lakhs means we'll get the 1.67. So if we convert into a percentage means here we'll get the 167 percentage. So like this, by using this profitability index, the businesses or the managers, they can able to take the decisions if they can accept this proposal or they can reject this proposal. Here decision rule is any if PI is any greater than 1 they can accept, if any profitability index is any less than 1 means it's a reject, if any PI is equals to 1 means it's any 50-50, it's their will and wish. Okay, so like this we'll calculate the PI values. Okay, now we'll see the importance of capital budgeting. So under the importance, the first one is a long-term goal. See, the long-term goal is very important for any organization, we already know. A wrong decision can be a disadvantage for any long-term survival of any firm. So capital budgeting has its effects in long-term span. It also affects the company's future cost and the goals. And the next important is any involvement of any large number of any funds. So in the capital budgeting, in capital budgeting investments, it requires a large number of funds. As the companies have limited resources, the company has to make a wise and correct investment decisions. And third important is any monitoring and controlling the expenditure. So in the capital budgeting, it carefully identifies the necessary expenditures and research and development requirements for any investment of any project. And fourth one is any transfer of any information. So in the capital budgeting, it processes and facilitates the transferring the information to appropriate decision making process. And in the fifth one is any difficulties of investment decision. So we already know it's a capital budgeting is a long-term investment decision. So it will be difficult because it extending the several years beyond the current year. So uncertainties indicates a high degree of any risk. So these are the 5 important factors of any capital budgeting. So I hope guys you understand the techniques and their importance. Thank you.